Afternoon. Thank you for your time and your expertise as we proceed through today's Forward Pinellas board meeting. I am now calling us to order, and I look forward to the rest of our agenda today. So without further ado, Councilmember Muhammad, would you please lead us in the invocation? Please stand.
You have your attention. In the name of the one true God, who's known by many names, we beseech your help and ask your mercy. Before we ask you for anything, we'd like to thank you for everything. Dear Lord, as we gather here today, we invoke the spirit of unity and progress, harmony and advancement. And as we pursue the purpose of this august body and seek to bring people together for a better future, we ask that you be with us. We recognize the importance of partnership, collaboration, and cooperation in achieving our shared goals and aspirations, so we ask that you allow us to be steadfast in our commitment to this principle as we work to build bridges between diverse communities, stakeholders, and decision makers. Please allow us to demonstrate our dedication and willingness to create space for dialogue, consensus building, and take actions that lead to tangible improvements in our quality of life. Dear Lord, we invoke the spirit of creativity, innovation, and resilience as we strive to lead the way in addressing the challenges facing our region and to be at the forefront of developing innovative solutions that help navigate these complex issues. Dear Lord, we invoke the spirit of inclusivity and diversity as we demonstrate our commitment to creating a future that works for everyone. Help us to ensure that the voices of the stakeholders are heard and respected, and allow our work to be meaningful and to contribute toward building a more equitable and just community where everyone has the opportunity to thrive. And finally, Lord, we would like to invoke the spirit of gratitude and appreciation as we recognize the incredible contributions of the dedicated staff, board members, and partners. Bless those in our state, federal, county, and city governments. Bless the non-affiliated, super volunteers, and grassroots organizers who care enough to show up, offer a word, or share a story. We're grateful for their tireless efforts and support as well, and lift their voices. And we ask all of these and many blessings in your name, in the name of your righteous servants. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, everyone. And now we are under number 3, citizens to be heard. Tina, are there any recognitions or announcements that we need to address after the citizens to be heard?
We do have a couple of recognitions.
Okay, good.
Do you want to do introductions of the board members?
Yes, I do. Thank you. Do we have new people?
Don't think we have new board members.
Okay, all right. Councilor Floyd, let's start with you, and we'll go around and introduce ourselves for those people that might be here that don't know us.
Hey everyone, my name is Councilmember Richie Floyd. I'm from St. Petersburg, District 8.
Thank you.
Hello, Councilor Chris Burke, City of Seminole, representing the inland communities.
Thank you.
Good day, I'm Patty Reed, Vice Mayor, City of Pinellas Park.
Nice to see you, Patty.
Councilmember Muhammad, City of St. Petersburg, District 7.
And over here we have Commissioner Scott, who I don't see has walked in yet. Hopefully he will be on his way. Commissioner Albritton.
Councilman Albritton, City of Clearwater, and Treasurer Ford Pinellas.
Dave Eggers, Pinellas County Commission.
David Will, Mayor, Reddington Beach.
Gina Driscoll, City of St. Petersburg, City Council, representing PSTA.
Jared Buckman, City of Oldsmar, representing Safety Harbor, Oldsmar, and Tarpon Springs.
Thank you, everyone. And I am Janet Long, District 1 County Commission, and your chair this year. So without further ado, let's go to citizens to be heard. Tina?
Yes, Madam Chair, we do have citizens to be heard today, and the first up is David Geddes Jr.
Okay, David, please come forward and give us your address, and you will have 3 minutes to address the board.
Hi, good afternoon. David Ballard Geddes Jr. I live at Georgia Avenue in Palm Harbor. What are the motivating factors in moving Pinellas County forward? Is the county moving forward on a long train of usurpations as written in the Declaration of Independence? Has the government placed us on a long train of usurpations as a way of moving it forward in its establishment of absolute despotism as declared? Is the county attempting to dissolve this government and assume itself as this government as written in the Declaration of Independence when in the course of human events dissolving our current government in Statute 15303, Sections 7 and 11, assuming to reconstitute itself in Statute 373.715? Is the county self-liquidating itself in Statute 163.01, self-liquidating the county to itself in and of itself, selling yourself as this government to yourself, shape-shifting, hoping to assume yourself as this government as a way of moving Pinellas County forward? What is meant by a transfer of development rights? Is such transfer a transfer of county function and county power as seen in Home Rule Charter Section 2.04Q, transferring, chartering to usurp and privatize government, privatizing government, and allowing such privateers to claim eminent domain of both our personal and real property in Statute 15303, Section 5, taking all of our property, land, and all of our rights in Statute 170.03 as a way of moving Pinellas forward with such transfer of development in such usurpation and privatization of such political power, using deliberately blighted and run-down neighborhood conditions to base downtown redevelopment zones? Is the redistricting that took place in Tallahassee last year, is the redistricting part of this transferring, usurping, dissolution, and privatizing of government, formulating private districts 10 miles in square based on Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17 of the U.S. Constitution, privatizing downtown redevelopment zones in the formulation, aiding and abetting individual, independent, despotic water jurisdictions under the 14th Amendment? Is this how Pinellas County is intending to move itself forward? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. David Ballard Geddes Jr. Tina, who is next, please?
Ms. Jillian Bandis.
I'm sorry, madam, I did not get your name. Would you state your name again and your address, please? And you'll have 3 minutes.
Hello, I'm Jillian Bandis.
Jillian, I didn't even recognize you.
Oh, no problem. I'm glad to be here. For those of you who don't know me, who are not in the city of St. Pete, I am a local contractor. I do some work with Pinellas County. And in my spare time, I volunteer for an organization called YIMBY St. Pete. It stands for Yes in My Backyard. We are a pro-development organization. We believe that more housing equals cheaper housing. And so we push for policies that will create more housing with the hope that rents will go lower and home prices will go lower. We are realistic about these goals because we know there has to be ancillary policies that accompany that. But of particular interest to my organization is the Sunrunner TOD, which I know that this body has worked on extensively over a period of many years. And I am a happy patron of the Sunrunner and look forward to using it for many years. Right now, the city of St. Pete is considering development, that's vertical development, around the Sunrunner transit stops. And so, as you can imagine, with any kind of zoning change, there are all kinds of opinions that float around both in the city and the county. And so I am here today to read off a list of names of individuals that have come out in support of increased Sunrunner TOD. It's a pretty obscure thing. You've got to get in the weeds to understand the nuances of what types of development is being proposed. But I think it's important that this organization understands there is a really wide base of support in St. Petersburg for increased development around the Sunrunner. You know, we oftentimes hear about all these neighborhood associations or other entities that are discouraging development because they're afraid of what might happen to their neighborhood character. They're afraid that the development won't necessarily benefit people of lower incomes. And some of those concerns are warranted. They need to be taken into consideration, and it's important that this body and other bodies hear them. But it's also important that the people who are in favor of this stuff get a little face time too. And oftentimes, the people who are in favor of change are sort of sidelined because we tend to be a little quieter about it and maybe not quite as in your face. So here I am to read off the list of supporters. I'll try to make it under my 3-minute time frame, Commissioner Long. The St. Pete Downtown Partnership, the St. Pete Chamber of Commerce, the Deuces Live organization, the Warehouse Arts District, Palmetto Park Neighborhood Association, they're actually a really big fan of this, the Interdenominational Ministerial Alliance of Florida, ENB St. Pete, of course, Car Free St. Pete, Place Projects, the Duncan McClellan Galleries, and Sankofa on the Deuces. Forthcoming is AARP and Sierra Club. We don't have their endorsements yet, but I expect them shortly. And so I just wanted the Forward Pinellas board to understand and perhaps even communicate with staff that there is a wide base of support in St. Pete for increased development, and we are hoping that you guys will move forward in that manner. Thank you.
Thank you, Jillian. It's nice to see you here. Next, Tina.
Next, Madam Chair, we have Sharon Calvert here.
Okay. Sharon, please come forward. State your address, and you'll have 3 minutes. Good morning. Good afternoon, I mean.
Good afternoon. I'm Sharon Calvert, and I live in Tierra Verde. I'm speaking today regarding the 34th Street South Lane Elimination Project. In April of 2019, an open house was held for the general public. 64 people attended it. No other public meeting was held since that time. 34th Street South is US 19. That is a federal highway maintained by FDOT. Taxpayers have been paying to maintain it for decades. Forward Pinellas may have engaged more with St. Petersburg and the Skyway Marina District, but those entities do not own or maintain US 19. That is like the city of Tampa, who was trying to pursue tearing down I-275 north of downtown as if no other stakeholders mattered. In March of 2020, Forward Pinellas published its own lane elimination study to pursue the lane elimination with FDOT for PSTA. That report claimed that thousands of new apartments along the corridor will result in, quote, increased demand for bicycle, pedestrian, and transit accommodations. No actual data to support such claim was provided. The reality is the luxury apartments now on 34th Street South have huge parking garages. While there's no guarantees that transit will increase, what will increase is the number of vehicles using 34th Street. There are no bicycles at the Publix or at the Walmart or at many of the drive-through restaurants on 34th Street South that I use almost every day. All the other meetings were with the City of St. Pete and the Skyway Marina District or other Forward Pinellas committees. And I have to point out that in Tierra Verde, we did not get similar consideration for opportunities to engage with Forward Pinellas regarding FDOT's cycle track project that changed the configuration and use of the Bayway South in our neighborhood. PSTA presented last year that they are going insolvent, and this is their own chart, and I've left some information behind. The fare box recovery has declined from 25.8% in 2013 to 6.9%, which is the latest I have for 2022. I anticipate 2023 is worse because of all the free rides to the rider for the Sunrunner, as well as the decrease in transit ridership. Now, this PSTA is pursuing route cuts and discontinuance of service after 10 p.m. This is not a representation of a healthy transit agency, and technology could provide the same similar solution without removing existing infrastructure. It appears there's no process for Forward Pinellas or the FDOT to relook at projects, especially when things change. This is a flawed process, and it's a problem. The state legislators are rightly concerned with the MPOs in Tampa Bay, and I hope that they do get under the engine and find out how they operate, because the process is very flawed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Calvert. Tina?
That's all for citizens to be heard, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Whit, do we have recognitions and announcements?
Yes, we do.
Okay, please proceed.
Mike, please.
Thank you. I'd like to introduce the board to Caitlin Nyman, who is our new planner. Caitlin, can you come over to the podium for a minute and just say hello to the board? And it's not an award, so I'm not going to join you, but I welcome you. Caitlin was an intern from University of South Florida, where she is still completing her master's degree program. But we saw a lot of opportunity in Caitlin, and we extended her an offer earlier this year, and she started in July as a full-time planner working on a land use team and for the MPO staff to support a lot of our data analysis and GIS mapping. Is there anything you'd like to say to the board other than welcome?
No, thank you. I'm glad to be here. Like Whit said, I've met a lot of you before, but I'm very glad to be on staff full-time, serving the board with data analysis. Thank you.
Thank you, Caitlin. Welcome aboard.
Thank you, and I love having people move that pipeline from intern to full-time employee. That's a great model for us. I'd also like to welcome our newest intern, Alexis Hall, who is from the University of South Florida. And Alexis, if you could stand up, and if you don't mind, come to the podium and just introducing yourself a little bit to the board, maybe telling the board a little bit about your background and what you're interested in at USF. Sorry to put you on the spot.
No worries. I don't really have any sort of speech prepared, but I just graduated with my bachelor's in urban studies. I came from Queens, New York, so it's very different than here. But I really enjoy USF so far, and I'm really looking forward to focusing on urban planning and, getting to know the public process and how policy and urban planning works. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to working with you guys and meeting everybody.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome, Alexis. Good luck to you. And next, we are going to handle the consent agenda. Are there any board members that wish to pull anything from consent? Anybody? Commissioner Eggers.
Yeah, if Whit could do just a brief summary on 5F, which is the approval of scope and fees for Advantage Pinellas. There's 2 items on there. Just to tell a little bit about each one and what those costs are for. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Every 5 years, we undertake a pretty significant effort to update our long-range transportation plan. And 5 years ago, we adopted the Advantage Pinellas Plan in 2019. A lot has changed since 2019 in terms of how people work, how they get to work, the growth of our county. And we have kicked off that effort in the last few months. And what we are doing is we have budgeted an X amount of money for this long-range transportation plan that comes from our federal grant funds. So we have sufficient funds for all of these scopes and task work orders. But we piecemeal out the work typically rather than just issuing one large, massive work order. It's a little easier for us to manage that way. We have completed the development of socioeconomic data forecast out to 2050. Just a quick note that the county is growing. We expect about another 120,000 residents living in Pinellas County by the year 2050, and roughly about 60,000 jobs additional in our county. And so we start with that, and that's working very closely with our local government partners to come up with those estimates. And then we have also engaged the firm with our public participation efforts, and we have a new website that I'll show you a little bit later in the meeting, where people can weigh in and give us feedback on what they like, what they don't like, what they're concerned about, what they want to see happen. These 2 items are for components of the development of the technical aspects of the long-range transportation plan. And there's some other aspects along with these, but one is the update of the active transportation plan. That is our bicycle pedestrian master plan, essentially, for countywide planning. And it looks at our trail overpasses and trail crossing strategy and priorities. It will evaluate connections to and from the Pinellas Trail Loop that is being completed in the next several years, and to other connections and safe access for bicycle pedestrian travel. The budget for that is about $60,000. The other component is to put together a transit system plan for the county, and we're working closely with Pinellas Suncoast Transit Authority on that. And that is a high-level look at the growth and where the growth is happening, and identifying the preferred type of transit technologies that might work within the defined investment corridors that were part of the last long-range plan, as well as looking at other corridors potentially like CSX and the I-275 corridor and other corridors throughout the county. That system plan is meant to be an integration of different modes and technologies that make sense as we continue to grow. And certainly technology will be a big part of that. Existing local bus service will be a part of that, but we may look at other forms of transit, such as the Sunrunner and Bus Rapid Transit, or other types of transit service in the future. We would then take both of these components through a financial feasibility analysis later on in the plan development that will determine how much revenue is coming into Pinellas County that we can reasonably expect, and which of any of these components we can see being what we call cost feasible or cost affordable based on those revenues. So this is a high-level system plan, and it's about $100,000, just under $100,000 in budget.
Both of these plans are required as a part of the long-range transportation plan?
They are technical components that are part of the required long-range transportation plan, yes, sir. And we need to develop a multimodal transportation plan, so we try to focus on all the different modes. We are also looking at highway needs throughout the county as well as part of this.
And within the budget of what we thought was going to be expended on these?
This is within the budget of what we thought was going to be expended, yes,
Thank
sir.
you.
Hold on one second, Commissioner Albritton. Tina, please let the record reflect that Commissioner Scott has joined us. Thank you.
Thank you, I did.
Commissioner Albritton,
Mike, your mic.
please turn on your mic.
It does include waterborne transportation, yes. So the transit system plan would also look at waterborne transportation connections.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else? Anyone else? Okay. This is a public hearing on the MPO.
We got to approve the consent.
Oh, I know.
Okay.
Oh, sorry about that. That's okay. Yes. If there's no further discussion on the consent agenda, may I have a roll call vote, please? No, we don't need a roll call. All those who are in favor, please say aye.
Madam Chair, I need somebody to make a motion and a second, and for the record, there are no citizens wishing to be heard on the consent agenda.
Move
Thank
approval.
you, Tina. It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now we are conducting our MPO public hearing first, and I will remind you at this time that this will require a roll call vote after the public hearing portion of this is conducted. Okay? Hello. Please state your name.
Good afternoon, Madam Chair. Good afternoon, board members. Jensen Hackett with the Department of Transportation. Today, I am going to be going over the roll forward amendment into your transportation improvement program. So at the end of the state fiscal year in June, the department runs a report that finds any projects that are within the DOT work program that were not committed in the previous fiscal year. In this case, that being state fiscal year 23. And what we do is we roll these projects into the new state fiscal year, which is state fiscal year 24. Because of this, these projects are not captured in the MPO's new TIP that was adopted back at this board meeting in July that will be recognized by Federal Highway on October 1st because it was adopted prior to the state fiscal year end. In order to make sure that these projects are continued into the new TIP, which is beginning in the new federal fiscal year on October 1st, we ask for this amendment to include these projects within the new TIP that will take effect on October 1st. This amendment does not affect any other projects that are within the current Forward Pinellas TIP or the new Forward Pinellas TIP that will become effective on October 1st. The two projects for this year's roll forward are included in your agenda packets. And for this amendment, I will need a motion for approval and a subsequent roll call vote, and I can answer any questions that you might have on this roll forward amendment at this time.
Any questions on this proposed amendment? Anyone? No? Okay. May I have a motion? Moved by Commissioner Albritton. Do we have a second by Commissioner Driscoll? Sorry, Gina. And we'll have a roll call vote. So
Madam Chair, prior to the roll call, I'll just let you know there were no citizens wishing to be heard on the TIP amendment.
Right, I'm sorry. I thought you had already said that, Tina. Thank you.
Commissioner Scott, how do you vote?
Yes.
Councilmember Muhammad?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Reed?
Yes.
Councilor Burke?
Yes.
Councilmember Floyd? Councilmember Buckman?
Yes.
Councilmember Driscoll?
Yes.
Mayor Will?
Yes.
Commissioner Eggers? Councilmember Albritton? Commissioner Long?
Yes.
That passes unanimously.
Thank you. Very fine. Thank you all. All right, and with that, we are going to move into the Pinellas Planning Council public hearing, and I will first ask the Pinellas Forward staff to present the items, and then any of the local governments desiring to do so may address this item. Once these reports are given, I will then ask for proponents of any of the proposals to speak, then opponents, and finally, any other citizen who wishes to comment or ask questions on any of the sub-threshold land use cases. We will then hear rebuttal by the applicant as necessary and a staff response or summary. At that time, the board will ask questions, and then I will close the public hearing, and the board will deliberate and take action. So without further ado.
Hello, my name is Emma Wennick, and we do have 3 cases for you guys to hear today, and the first of which is from the city of Madeira Beach, and it is in reference to the Johns Pass Village Activity Center plan. So the overall location is going to be Johns Pass Village, and that extends from properties west of Gulf Boulevard to Boca Ciega Bay on the east, and from Johns Pass north to 133rd Avenue East. And it is about 27 acres in size, more or less. And it is going to be a change from residential medium, resort, retail and services, and recreation open space on the countywide plan map, and it would be changed to activity center. And the uses would remain mainly the same, which is commercial, traditional tourist business, mix of residential and temporary lodging. So a little bit of background and context on this case. Back in 2008, the city adopted inconsistent standards into their comprehensive plan in their code. At that time, those inconsistencies were reviewed, and the city was informed of these inconsistencies. However, they were adopted. And then in 2020, new city staff rediscovered these inconsistencies and reached out to Forward Pinellas to try to remedy them. And then in 2023 is when they came forward with this activity center plan application to Forward Pinellas. However, they did not have activity center designated in their local comprehensive plan, so they had to go back and do that, and that was completed on July 12th of this year. And so that kind of brings us up to speed. We're now able to hear it and move it forward. So this is just another aerial view of the amendment area. Like I said, 27 acres in size. And this shows the existing uses and kind of where they are relative to the overall site. The darker blue and pink area is the commercial, vacant commercial, tourist commercial businesses, and then the lighter teal and yellow in the surrounding area is going to be more multifamily, temporary lodging, and then some single family and vacant areas as well. So this is just showing where it's located on our land use strategy map. So Gulf Boulevard is a designated secondary transit corridor. There are other activity centers located along this corridor, and in general, the Johns Pass area is known as a tourist hub with opportunities for employment and business development. So what is the requested action from Madeira Beach? As previously mentioned, amending 27 acres from residential medium, resort, retail services, and recreation open space to activity center. And the request came with a community center subcategory designation. Johns Pass Village Activity Center plan comes forward with this proposal, so they do have a plan associated with it, and I will go into a little bit more detail of the actual plan as we go on. And in general, this area has been recognized as inconsistent with the countywide rules. So this is showing the area of concern. It's comparing the countywide plan future land use category that's existing now compared to the Madeira Beach comprehensive plan future land use that's existing now. And as you can see, the density and intensity standards in the respective city and countywide plans are not consistent, especially in the retail and services category. The FAR exceeds what is allowed. And the city has stated that the existing plan categories do not sufficiently reflect the distinct characteristics and uses that exist on the ground today.
Question.
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, while you have that slide up, the request, the current request, which is different, I'm asking, how different is it than the Madeira Beach's comprehensive plan, future land use plan that's sitting here? Is it significantly different than this? Does it put a swatch over the whole area that allows any of those uses in any of that area than the activity?
Like what numbers are they proposing with the plan?
Yeah, are these segments that are under the Madeira Beach plan, commercial general, those 5,
Yep.
Are they going to be in the activity?
I go into more detail on that, but they break it down into 6 separate character districts, and they each have their own standards that are going to be different
So
numbers.
they'll still be split up
Yes.
into different areas?
Yep. Mhm.
But even more intense than this?
Yes. Mhm.
Thank you.
Anyone else while we're paused here? No? Okay, please continue.
Okay, so this slide just shows the existing countywide plan map categories, just broken down so you guys can see them in map form. And then this is what it would look like shall this go through. It would be complete activity center. And the Johns Pass Village Activity Center plan further breaks it down into 6 different character districts within the activity center. They each have their own specifications that would need to be followed. So this is that depiction of those character districts. So there's traditional village, commercial core, boardwalk district, low intensity mixed use, and Johns Pass resort and transitional. And then the associated uses are also listed there. And each of these will have their own standards, and if the request is approved, the city will begin the process of amending its land development code to establish zoning and development standards in each of the associated character districts. So I'm just going to wrap up what the conclusion of their proposal was, and there were a few points and goals that they brought forward to us. So the first of which being that they aim to preserve and rebuild the existing character, uses, and density and intensity of Johns Pass Village in the event of a disaster. They aim to reconcile those inconsistencies. They want to better reflect the existing use and provide for future development at Johns Pass Village. And then they want to aim for future improvement, revitalization, and potential redevelopment within the village as well. So now shifting gears a little bit into Forward Pinellas' review of the proposal and our consistency review with the countywide rules. So this property is entirely within the coastal high hazard area. So when a property is within the coastal high hazard area, there is balancing criteria that needs to be addressed. And while we do feel like it does meet or address majority of the balancing criteria, there are some specific ones that we're going to touch on in a little bit more detail. The first of which being the access to emergency shelter space and evacuation routes. So Gulf Boulevard is a designated evacuation route, as you can see, that goes right through the area. It is a level A evacuation status, and we did get in contact with emergency management to get their take on the proposal. And they noted that since the amendment will not result in a significant increase in permanent residential populations, that any adverse impacts to emergency shelter space and capacity are not anticipated. And then the second balancing criteria we wanted to address was the overall reduction in density or intensity for properties within the coastal high hazard area. So this table is comparing the existing residential and temporary lodging density on the ground versus the proposed maximum residential and temporary lodging density within this Johns Pass Village Activity Center plan, broken down by character districts. So typically this comparison would be done with the local countywide standards. However, since this area is already out of compliance, we're comparing it to what's already on the ground. While many of the proposed densities and intensities of the character districts are reflective of the existing development within this area, there will be increases in the allowable development potential when compared to what's currently developed in the amendment area. It should be noted that increases in temporary lodging density do not impact emergency shelter and evacuation route considerations. Furthermore, the increases in density can be deemed minor when comparing what's already there. For example, the commercial core district is being proposed at about 14.5 on the ground, and then the proposal comes in at 15. You can also see a couple areas that have larger fluctuations, and those are depicting current non-conforming properties that were built prior to the Madeira Beach Code of Ordinances and Comprehensive Plan. So that's what those fluctuations are showing there. Okay, so this shows a little bit more of a raw data number set comparing the existing countywide standards of what's on the property to what's going to be proposed with the character districts. You'll actually see that when compared to the existing countywide plan standards, there is a 29% decrease in the max allowable residential units. However, there are increases in the max temporary lodging allowed and the max allowable square footage. Now, with that being said, when we're comparing it to the local comprehensive plan standards of Madeira Beach, there is going to be a slight increase in residential density. So the first arrow points to the existing Madeira Beach comprehensive plan. It's an average. And then the second arrow is pointing to the activity center standards.
Emma, could you just pause for 1 minute while we take a question from Commissioner Scott?
Yep.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On the previous slide, could you go back? So the 29% decrease in maximum allowable residential units, is that, will residential units be removed in redevelopment, or that's just what's allowed there now? But how many are there now, do we know? Any idea?
How many exist on the ground? Not in a raw number. Okay. That 16.07 is the UPA of what's existing from their comprehensive plan, but I don't know a raw number of what's on the ground.
There's none going away, it's just what's...
Right, this is just what would be allowed, total, in a totality, yeah.
Madam Chair.
Commissioner Eggers.
So comparing what they're proposing to the county,
yes,
they're proposing less residential units?
Yes. To the countywide standards that currently exist, there would be a decrease with the Johns Pass Village Activity Center plan.
Okay. And there would be an increase in lodging, I'm assuming that's like hotels and that kind of thing?
Yes.
So they're asking for, and what is this allowable square footage that looks like it almost,
it's just
doubles or almost triples?
Overall FAR allowed.
All right. So we're talking about a lot more height, obviously. There's not a lot of space there to build, so you're elevating. Do they have height restrictions out there?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
That would be
That's a different issue, I know, for a different day. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else, while we're paused, have a question here?
And we do have Madeira Beach staff here, so if there's some questions, we can have those answered as well.
They're going to be giving another presentation after mine, too. Okay, so another point that we wanted to bring forward was that arrow is pointing to the location of this Johns Pass Village, and as you can see, The round circles are from our land use strategy map, and they represent activity centers that are existing or planned. And this area is not identified as an existing or planned activity center on our land use strategy map. So traffic and connectivity. Transit is a major consideration when establishing activity centers. And so this area is currently served by the Suncoast Beach Trolley and PSTA bus routes. It is a level of service D or better in this area. However, we do want to note that this graphic was provided from the city, and it does depict that there is somewhat of an incomplete sidewalk system. So that would limit the walkability in this area. So we wanted to make note of that. Okay, and then lastly, this is our standards for the subcategories of activity centers. So as previously mentioned, this is about a 27-acre site. So they did come forward requesting a community center subcategory designation. However, you can see the minimum acreage threshold for community center is about 50 acres, whereas for neighborhood center, it is 27 acres. So it would not meet the minimum acreage threshold of community center. So after review of the proposal and in consideration of the relevant countywide considerations, it has been determined that the proposed activity center is generally consistent. However, the CHHA location, the limited walkability, the amendment area size of 27 acres, and the fact that this area is not identified as an existing or planned activity center, we feel better supports a neighborhood center subcategory with no increase in residential density. Therefore, it's recommended that the board recommends an alternative compromise to approve this amendment to the activity center category. And then we just put a little summary of public comments. Forward Pinellas has received roughly 37 emails of public opposition, main concerns being traffic congestion, the increase in density and intensity, allowing for more hotels, condos, overdevelopment, and then this was a split vote within the city that passed at 3-2. And then that is all for my presentation. As I mentioned, the city is going to be doing their own presentation as well after this, but if you have any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them.
Commissioner Eggers has a question.
Can we go back to slide 16 and 17?
Yes. This one?
Just again, for clarification, one of the things that you were talking about under the recommendation was to allow less, the recommendation is to allow no more residential units than they currently have. Our standards call for 674. Their proposed standards are at 482. So what am I missing?
Yep. So that was just in reference to the existing comprehensive plan standards of Madeira Beach, and just that there's a slight increase with this proposal. So we were hoping that for them to bring down the slight increase in UPA closer to what's existing.
So on the previous page again, there's so many tables and stuff I just
Yep.
That says proposed and this says existing county.
Yep, so that's existing county-wide standards.
Right. And that says
so that's
proposed standards, which is showing less. So
So let me show you.
Page 17.
So this is what their character districts are going to look like. This is the existing county-wide. So that's not the local standards, that's what's on our map. And I basically took the maximum allowable residential units under those county-wide standards and compared it to what they are proposing with their subcategories. And that did show me a 29% decrease in what would be maximum allowed. However, after further review, and this table was provided from the city, this is comparing their local comprehensive plan, and there is a minimal increase in residential units per acre. So our countywide standards can go above, are usually above the local, and this is their local comprehensive plan. But I'm sure the city would be able to explain that a little bit more.
There's a little confusion here. Anyone else have any questions or concerns? I would like to ask, was this all done prior to our hurricane, I'm assuming?
Yes, this has been in works for a while.
And does the effects of the hurricane have any impact on any of what we're discussing here today?
Not today, no.
You're sure?
I mean, I think city staff could speak to that from their perspective because they are the ones proposing this change, but no, I don't think so.
Well, maybe we might hear from city staff for a bit and help clear up any misunderstandings.
That is next for them to give a presentation, yes, and you can question
Okay.
them.
Anything else for Emma? No? Okay, then let's move to the city staff presentation, if we can. Hello.
Good afternoon. My name is Andrew Morris. I'm the long-range planner at the Community Development Department for the City of Madeira Beach. And
Hello, I'm Jenny Rowan. I'm the Community Development Director.
Could you state your name again, please?
Yes, I'm Jenny Rowan.
Jenny Rowan.
Yes,
Thank
the
you.
Community Development Director.
And in this staff presentation, I wanted to clarify a couple things because you guys have additional questions. Why this is being proposed. We want to protect Johns Pass Village and the surrounding neighborhoods around it. Make sure redevelopment is compatible with what's already been built, and make sure our comprehensive plan is consistent with the countywide plan, and do proactive instead of reactive planning where to guide future redevelopment, because there's a lot of concern about like what could potentially be built, but we want to make sure that anything that goes in there looks like what's already been built down there, and that people are able, if their structures got damaged in a hurricane, that they could build back. This shows the existing countywide future land use and our existing comprehensive plan future land use over the proposed activity center, and we highlighted where the inconsistencies were on these tables. This is the existing floor area ratios or existing densities and intensities. We looked at a Pinellas County property appraiser data for each parcel down there, and it shows kind of there are some areas like the Johns Pass Resort where there is a big difference of residential density because you have some of these older condo buildings that were built in the 70s and early 80s before we adopted zoning that was a lot more restrictive on the residential density. So a lot of those older buildings are the ones that and then in Johns Pass Village, there's a lot of since the lots are very small, there's a lot of these two-story commercial buildings that cover most of the lot, so you have floor area ratios above 1 because the lots are very small and the buildings cover up most of it. This is the existing uses. As you can see, it's mostly built out already. It's a mix of commercial uses focused within Johns Pass Village, while surrounding it, it's a mixture of multifamily, some temporary lodging uses, a bit of single family, and then there's some vacant lots kind of throughout, but not very many. It's mostly built out. The Lot size, though, is kind of it. The lots are very small, and these are the proposed character districts, as you can see. So it's very tough to, like, it's very easy to hit that 0.55 FAR that retail and services category has. We wanted to show an example of, like, kind of what we're talking about. So this is like a 40 by 100 foot lot. As you can see, it's kind of like the types of lots you see down in Johns Pass Village. And this is in our C1 zoning district. It has that 0.55 FAR. You can't really build what's currently there, which is that, like, kind of two-story, like traditional style, like commercial building. This is the boundary. As you can see, it goes from Johns Pass Village, and it goes to 133rd Ave. But it goes because Madeira Bay and Barefoot Beach Club, which are both temporary lodging, those are the kind of the last kind of larger developments, and the density drops off significantly after that. Just a map that shows what's existing and what's being proposed. The character districts would be adopted into our land development regulations, and they would regulate the, like, setbacks, height. We do have height limits currently in place in our zoning. I didn't include an existing zoning map, but the existing zoning categories down there are C1 and C2, which are commercial ones focused on Johns Pass, and then the R3 on the beach side. But these are what we'd be, if this was adopted, what we'd be adopting into our land development regulations. We did a map that shows existing versus proposed. So it's a good map to compare. And then this is just a summary table that shows with the residential density. I think that the change of that one additional unit on average was in the Johns Pass Resort District. There was so we removed the residential density completely out of the boardwalk because it's in the coastal A flood zone. But as an attempt to try, because Johns Pass, that character district has some of the larger residential buildings, we tried to shift some of it, but we're happy to lower it back down to the 18 to meet the concerns, and we haven't rerun it yet with it lowered to 18. The other districts, though, match the existing residential, like, density maximums for the existing categories. With the temporary lodging, we have by right, and then the other number next to it is if there's an approved development agreement that would have to go through our board, and we'd also would adopt the alternative temporary lodging use language that's in the countywide rules. And then this table, Ford Pinellas had it in there also, but it shows the existing average. So it has our existing, the countywide plans existing, and then our proposed average. But based on if we'd have to rerun it if we lowered that from 24 to 18. So that would most likely bring it back to equaling. We had to do one of the required things in our application was to do the traffic generation rate, to compare the existing versus proposed, and with activity center categories, because it's more like focused about like walkability and transit oriented, that some of the trips would be internal, but as it didn't hit the threshold to have to do additional traffic study. And then this is a map that we did. The reason why there aren't sidewalks on certain streets, there's some very narrow streets down there, that some of them with right-of-ways that are 15 feet. So they're very narrow, kind of low-speed streets, but that's why they don't have sidewalks. We would like to do pedestrian improvements. More likely, Gulf Boulevard's more of the issue because it's still 35 miles per hour through there, and definitely would like to see it like kind of improved for pedestrian safety. It's along the Suncoast Beach Trolley, which is one of the busier bus routes in Pinellas County. And then coastal high hazard area considerations. Tried to keep the residential density same as it currently was, and we'll rerun the numbers with it, with that 24 lower to 18. We require 4 feet of freeboard above base flood elevation to try to compensate for wave action with storm surge. And then we remove some residential from that, like a character district, the boardwalk one, because that area is specifically more flood prone. In our land development regulations, we would adopt focus on like making sure that things are like pedestrian oriented and improving connectivity throughout the proposed activity center, and make sure that to mitigate any impacts. One of the things we did when we set the character districts is we tried to have the density intensity drop off as it got closer to either certain residential areas or further north on Gulf Boulevard. And that's where we are in the process. And in conclusion, Madeira Beach is a vital tourist destination, especially Johns Pass Village, and that activity center plan would allow us to protect what's currently built on the ground without having to rely on like in our nonconformances section where you can build back certain things after a storm, but we don't have anything for commercial, for protect existing commercial floor area. And the activity center plan would allow us to be more strategic and make sure redevelopments compatible with our exists, and try to have like design standards and height limits to make sure that anything new looks like what's there currently. If this land use change does happen, we would adopt like the character districts into our land development regulations to implement what's being proposed. Thank you. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Eggers?
Well, there are enough numbers and charts and graphs that if you wanted to try to confuse me, you succeeded. I'm trying to follow stuff. I studied it ahead of time, trying to follow it. So I'm just going to ask a couple of questions. The staff has a different, the MPO staff has a recommendation. The planners group voted unanimously to support staff's recommendation. And at best, you have a split council, maybe 3-2, so it's slightly in favor of the plan. So what is the biggest heartburn with the countywide plan? And secondly, what's the biggest loss, or what do you feel is the biggest negative feedback that you could give us from implementing staff's plan versus your plan? I'm trying to get a sense qualitatively what's so bad with the county plan that's being recommended, and recommended by many, versus your plan.
No, we support Forward Pinellas' proposed alternative. That's not an issue, and we definitely support it. I just haven't rerun it. Like, this would have to come back to our board again if you guys do adopt the alternative today. So I haven't rerun the numbers yet, but we most definitely support what Forward Pinellas is proposing. The issue is more with the existing retail and services category being more of a suburban commercial category that's not really compatible with what's currently been built down there. And that it's more of the issue of the existing retail and services category.
The biggest issue would be the floor area ratio that the county has and that we have locally is that 0.55 FAR. That's a floor area ratio. Currently, a lot of the buildings do not meet that standard, so we're trying to find something in the countywide plan that we could adopt, that we could retain that character of what you think of Johns Pass Village.
Okay, excuse me for one moment, please. Please wait for the board chair to recognize you before you jump in the conversation. Whit has a couple of comments he'd like to make for clarification, I
Yep.
think.
I appreciate staff's clarification on that issue. I did want to clarify for the board that the alternative compromise that we are recommending would be something that has to go back and be approved by the city of Madeira Beach before it goes to the Countywide Planning Authority, the Board of County Commissioners. So there is another step because we are not recommending accepting of their proposal that they've already voted on at the city level. So there's that additional step. Our main concern is that in the countywide rules for establishing that level of an activity center that they're proposing, it doesn't quite meet those criteria. And we just couldn't see fit to fit that into that area. So the alternative compromise just steps it down a little bit, but I think it still gives the city the things that they are looking for while still meeting the countywide rules, if that helps. But what they're looking for is modernization of the Johns Pass Village, bringing things up to standard, and then also if there is some sort of consequential storm impact and there's a redevelopment or any sort of, it could be fire, could be a hurricane, could be anything, they want to be able to build back that important tourism destination.
So on the floor area ratio that you're talking about, what's existing now, you're saying, and there are some instances that exist now that are above the floor area ratio that is currently allowed.
Yes, that's correct. And you can see that in this slide here.
On the traditional village, for example, there is a two-story commercial building that has a floor area ratio of around a 1.7, and it covers most of the lot.
And the current standards are 0.55.
Are you good?
So they've approved development that's beyond the standard is what we're acknowledging. Sometime after 2008.
Commissioner Scott?
Thank you, Madam Chair. What redevelopment is envisioned over the next 3 to 5 years? It's just looking at numbers and colors on a screen. I'm trying to put some context to that to sort of bring this to life a little bit. I mean, you're envisioning a new hotel down there. I mean, there's a lot of floor area ratio that's being requested. So is Johns Pass Village going to be tore down and rebuilt 5 stories high, or can you speak to that at all?
We currently don't have any projects. We haven't received anything. Ideally, our city has been raising money through our parking revenue to build a additional parking garage down there that would most likely be mixed use with commercial at grade. We would like to see some more newer temporary lodging uses built down there, but within the scale and height of existing stuff that's been built down there. But we haven't received any applications or anything specific to property down there.
Commissioner, this is a little bit unusual. Normally, when we have these land use cases, we are responding to a development proposal that's specific. And and I think what their point is that they're trying to be proactive as opposed to reactive to a major development proposal there. So they're recognizing that there's some inconsistencies. They brought those inconsistencies to us, and I remember several years ago, the mayor coming to me saying, if there's a storm, we can't build it back, and that's a big concern that they have. So it's a combination of things, but there's not a specific proposal, and I think that's what we're missing a little bit, because we normally see those.
Exactly, and I think we're all, probably if we could find a way to put our minds around it, a little bit uncomfortable approving a plan without any real development idea in front of us, because I don't know how many of you spend any time on Johns Pass. It's like bees in a beehive. I mean, on any day of the week, truly. So a big concern of mine for a long time, not that it has anything to do with this as much, although it probably would, is that artificial new sandbar that's developed out there that people are beginning or have tried to use as a beach, like it's really a beach to swim off of. And I've been down there and seen little bitty kids, 2 to 5 years old, in that water For any of you that are boaters, you know that channel is a death trap. So once you put your foot, all you have to do is take one step a little too far and you're in 25 or 50 feet of water.
Madam Chair, I just want to remind everybody that we do want to hear from proponents and opponents
I know,
before
we
we
haven't
get,
got there yet because we're in.
right, before we get to discussion, just.
Oh, sorry. Well, Tina, can we just pause where you are? Are you done with your presentation for the most part?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, well then, let's see, do we have any proponents or opponents, Tina? Or
Stephanie-
citizens to be heard that need to, okay, just hold on.
We have a proponent, Stephanie Berry, wishing to address the board.
Okay, well, let's hear from them in order of when they signed up, please.
Just state your name and address for the record, and you'll have 3 minutes.
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Stephanie Berry.
Did you sign up?
I did.
Speak? Okay.
Yep. 205 Boardwalk Place East. My business and my family owns the building located right here. So I've been following this since probably the whole thing started. It's been what seems like a lifetime, but it's been a couple of years, and attended all of the meetings, and I completely understand the concern of, well, what's the hidden secret behind here? What are we trying to do? But there are way too many individual owners that own all of these buildings for there to be someone come in and just bulldoze it all down and build it back up. There's too many of us that are in that area, and this is only to keep the character of Johns Pass as well as the development that is currently structured there. Under the current laws, there's 3 businesses in my building. I own 2 of them, and we have someone upstairs. I own Woody's Water Sports and Beach Brain right on Boardwalk Place East. I'm sure some of you have been to the Boardwalk Grill upstairs. That's one of our tenants. We would only be able to build at 50%, just a little over 50% capacity. So that means you do the math, 2 of us are out, only 1 can rebuild. So we're trying to get ahead of this to prevent this from being an issue. And for some of you that might not have heard, down right through here, about 6 weeks ago, maybe 4 weeks ago, Alligator Attraction had a fire. And if it wasn't for one of our deputies patrolling the area at 3 o'clock in the morning and was able to make a call, it was an electrical fire and took out 3 businesses up there. And had they not had an immediate reaction to it, we could have lost this entire thing. This whole thing could have been engulfed in fire, and then going back to that 59%, we would not have been able to rebuild Johns Pass to the capacity that it's at now. It is a quaint looking, charming, looks something like right out of a movie set in New England area, and all of us, including the residents, are trying to protect it and are all looking for that hidden agenda that you mentioned too, and there isn't one. I'm a real estate agent in that area, and there's just no way right now because too many people own that area.
Thank you for making this very complicated issue so clear. Truly, your input is so valuable.
Thank you.
I think she pretty well summed up where we are.
Yeah, there's a lot of stats and numbers, and you can get lost in them. There's a lot of stats and numbers to get lost in, but the bottom line is that we're just trying to protect it from there being a potential issue, whether it's, God-made, whether it's the hurricane, and we did flood during this past hurricane. Fortunately, it was a slow and steady hurricane, so it rose slowly, so we were able to all prepare for that. Now, Ada in 2020, when we had that was fast and furious. My business was in 4.5 feet of water, whereas this past one was, and that was only a tropical storm, so most of us didn't have any impact from a hurricane or get it labeled as a hurricane for any relief. But this last one, it just went through the whole Johns Pass, but we were all ready for it. But God forbid something had happened from a wind standpoint.
Well, thank you so much for your clarification. Yeah. And for the record, what was your first name again?
Stephanie.
Stephanie.
Yes, Stephanie Berry.
Okay, well, you've passed your 3 minutes. I didn't gavel you down. Thank you very much for the clarification. Now, I'm sure her comments probably engendered some additional questions or concerns, maybe? Anybody? No? Okay, who else on deck? Tina?
There's no additional proponents. There are no opponents or any other citizens wishing to be heard on this matter.
Well, okay then, Commissioner Eggers.
I want to make sure, yeah, because sometimes we get confused between land use kind of restrictions versus when they go to rebuild, they have their own zoning, they have their own development review services. Those buildings perhaps wouldn't be allowed to be rebuilt, and it has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. We don't want what we talk about here to not allow them to have the same vision about what's there now. Your own codes will probably disallow some of it to be built back. It has nothing to do with this land use thing. So I want to make sure, so from a land use perspective, what can we do to ensure that they can rebuild from our perspective, not from all the other issues that they're going to face, allow them to rebuild exactly what's there?
Right, so what we're asking the board is to consider the alternative compromise proposal that staff brings to you, which is, it's still an activity center designation. It's a lower tier activity center designation that still supports the existing development that's in there. And as you heard Andrew Morris say, they support that alternative compromise, and that was what's supported by the Planners Advisory Council.
And does that address, just as a specific example, does that address Stephanie's concern about her place?
It does.
Okay.
It makes them in conformity with the countywide standards, countywide rules, countywide plan.
That would allow for that kind of rebuild.
And their staff proposal would do the same thing. We have just some concerns that it's a little too intense for that area, and according to the countywide rules, it doesn't meet the criteria for how we establish those kinds of activity centers. So we're just trying to be consistent countywide.
Okay, but doesn't affect rebuilding?
It doesn't affect,
Okay.
I mean,
just wanna make sure
it
that-
allows them to rebuild.
Because
what's out
you
there.
will have other issues to deal
Yep.
with. There'll be stormwater requirements that may, make less property be able to be built than before, but that's a different issue for a different day. So that's fine. Thank you.
Okay, Commissioner Scott, did you have anything else? No, ma'am. Anyone else over here? Chris?
Just a question for Whit. What was the methodology? Because we either approve or deny their request. So how do we get that into the pipeline to go back to them with the amended proposal?
So the action that we take today for the alternative compromise basically sends this back to the city of Madeira Beach to consider the alternative compromise. And then they can either move forward with that or not. And if they don't move forward with that, then we're kind of stuck, or they come back with a different proposal.
Anyone else? Gina?
Thank you. So would the motion be to accept the alternative compromise, approve, or another verb? Just for legal purposes, to make sure that.
Yeah, I'm gonna bring the expert here.
Yay, Rodney.
Rodney's in charge of our land
Here you
use team,
are.
and he probably has the exact motion he wants you to entertain.
Good afternoon, Rodney Chapman, Division Manager. Council member, it would be to recommend approval of the alternative compromise as stated in the staff report.
Okay.
I was gonna say
Thank you
that.
so much.
Commissioner Will.
I wanted to.
Oh, sorry, Gina, did you have more?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank everyone from Forward Pinellas and the city of Madeira Beach for all of the work that went into this. I do understand it, and I understand the why behind it. And, not only does this resolve the inconsistencies with the county, but it also, I think it really enhances the unique character of the area and creates a more modern approach given today's needs and today's climate. And I think this can really position, a long-loved asset in our area for an even more successful future. So I like what's being presented to us today, and I will move approval of the alternate compromise.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded.
Madam Chair,
Yes?
Thanks, Whit, I got it.
What did she say?
I pointed to David.
Oh, David, you have a question?
No, he seconded.
Oh. Okay. All those in favor of the motion and the second, please say aye.
Aye.
Good job, everybody. Okay. Now, where did Emma go? Come along, Emma.
Perfect. Okay, so we have two more, a little less exciting. The next one is from the city of St. Pete. The subject property is going to be a 0.79 acre site. It's currently office in the countywide plan map category, and they're proposing a multimodal corridor category. And on site now is an existing single-family home and a vacant lot area, and they're proposing multifamily, about 19 townhomes. So this is the subject area, and then an aerial view of the parcel outlined. Surrounding uses, to the north we have some single-family residential, east single-family residential, the south is going to be retail office, and then west is multifamily. Aerial view again, and then looking at the site, you can see the home and then also the vacant lot area. So this is what it would look like shall the amendment go through. As you can see, there is multimodal corridor directly below the parcel, and then there is the activity center area directly below that in the blue there. And so this slide is showing the location of the Central Avenue Premium Transit Corridor. As you can see, it is within very close proximity to the parcel. And then this graphic was provided from City of St. Pete. The star is showing where the parcel is. And this area, the green area, was recognized as an area for potential of redevelopment. And it is a short 325-foot walk from the existing 66th Street Sunrunner bus stop, and that's that little circle right below the star. So you can see it is within close proximity to that as well. So the subject property is located in between the Central Avenue and Pasadena Avenue North, which both have multimodal corridors going on them, so the designation is deemed appropriate. The surrounding area is consistent with the locational characteristics for the proposed category, and the amendment is appropriate for the intended purpose to increase the allowable units on the site. And the Planners Advisory Committee recommended approval, and we find the proposed amendment consistent with the relevant countywide considerations. Do you have any questions for me on that one?
Questions? Commissioner Will? No? Commissioner Eggers?
Just real quick, on this is to multi-modal corridor, so does that allow for uses that are not residential? Or is it just residential, even though it might be multi?
It allows for a mix of residential and retail uses as well, but it does allow them to develop at the higher UPA than they need. That gives them what they need.
It could be retail.
Yes, it's proposed mixed use potentially, I believe is what staff provided us.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Albritton?
Mike, please.
Yes.
So that's a higher density residential than the zoning next door that has multifamily?
Than what's existing, yes.
Oh, mixed use, okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
I'll make a motion to approve this item.
Hold on, please, Commissioner Burke.
Just for clarification, they want to put 19 townhomes on a 0.8 acre lot? And that meets the density definition? It was back on slide like
Yes. The proposal said the applicant is wishing to develop 19 townhomes with potential for retail or other permitted mixed uses.
somewhat vague, but okay.
Anyone else? Gina?
Thank you. It has been a few months since since St. Petersburg City Council voted on this item, but I believe I recall that the change that we made was to allow for up to 19 townhomes, which allows them to do that if they see fit. But another option would be to do fewer townhomes and add some retail. So it may not be as extensive of a development as it sounds, although we would allow for that.
What are the wishes of the board?
Move approval.
All right, it's been moved and seconded. Are there anyone that wants to discuss this issue? Tina?
Madam Chair, there are no citizens wishing to be heard on this matter.
Okay. And no further discussion amongst the board. A motion and a second has been made. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Okay, the motion passes unanimously. Next, Emma?
Next. Okay, now we have City of Largo. This is a 1.39 acre property off Almerton Road. Its existing countywide plan map category is industrial and the proposed is employment. The existing use is a garage workshop, and they plan to keep that garage and workshop area, but then also utilize the front shopping strip portion, which they're unable to do at this time. So this is the subject area. This is what the site looks like directly abutting Almerton Road. Aerial view of the site. North, we have some commercial and storage. East, retail and restaurant. South, warehouse, industrial, commercial. West, retail and commercial. Aerial view of the amendment area, and then the look south of Almerton Road. As you can see, they do have the vacant kind of commercial strip there. And then if you look on the photo to the left, kind of the larger rectangle towards the back that's showing the garage warehouse area. So the commercial area is just in front of that. So this is the change in countywide plan map designation going from industrial to employment. As you can see, there is surrounding employment in this area. So again, the applicant desires to have the site remain as is and work towards being able to revitalize the site that has been underutilized in terms of the commercial. So we feel that the surrounding area is consistent with the locational characteristics of the proposed category. The proposed uses of warehouse and retail commercial are permitted under the employment category and would not adversely affect nearby properties. And the proposed amendment does increase the amount of employment designated land, which increases the potential for future employment and job opportunities. So we feel that it is consistent, and we recommend approval.
Madam Chair?
Commissioner Eggers?
Yeah, just move approval.
Okay, Commissioner Eggers has moved, and Commissioner
Madam Chair, prior to the
Burke.
vote, for the record, there's
Burke.
nobody wishing to speak on this item, no proponents, opponents, or citizens wishing to be heard.
Thank you. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Emma. Is that the end of your presentation?
It is.
And now we are on item the PSTA activity report. Gina?
Thank you. The PSTA board met, this is the summary for July and August. The PSTA board met on July 26th and August 23rd, 2023. In July, the board approved a list of recommended service reductions to be brought to the public for comment, which would reflect a savings of $3.1 million. Although only about half of the reductions are needed to balance the budget, PSTA wanted to provide a list of options for public comment, including the elimination of the very lowest ridership routes. The board also approved the proposed rate of 0.7500 mils to be transmitted to the property appraiser. Public hearings on the budget, including the proposed service cuts, will be at 6 p.m. tonight and at 6 p.m. on September 27th in the PSTA boardroom. In August, the board met and discussed fare options for the Sunrunner. After much discussion with the Pinellas County Sheriff, the board voted to implement fares on October 1st. Originally, it was supposed to be November 1st, and to convene a group of service providers to discuss longer-term solutions for the unhoused. A couple of information items for you. PSTA was recently honored by the American Public Transportation Association with the Outstanding Public Transportation System Award for the year, so exciting news. And as of yesterday, the Sunrunner has now surpassed 1 million rides. The next board meeting will be on I'm sorry, this is wrong. Our next meeting is actually at the public hearing tonight at 6 o'clock. Thank you.
You're welcome, and that is extraordinary news about the 1 million passengers and that award by APTA. That is a big deal. So please extend to the board my congratulations on behalf of all of us.
I certainly will. Thank you.
You're welcome. Regional activity report. Whit?
Madam Chairman, I'll be really brief on this because I have a longer item a little bit later in the agenda. I just wanted to let you all know I do have a meeting coming up with the Pasco County Administrator to talk about a couple of items. One is to just discuss the potential merger of the 3 MPOs. I don't really know his perspective on that, so and we've never met, so look forward to that opportunity. The second thing we're going to discuss is a proposal for express transit service in the US 19 corridor to link the workforce, the growing workforce in Pasco County with our labor force needs here in Pinellas County along the US 19 corridor. And that proposal has been studied pretty extensively by the Tampa Bay Area Regional Transit Authority in one of its last work products. And we are going to be exploring a potential partnership. So I want to gauge the staff's level of support for that. And that's really all I have right now.
Excellent. Tina, are there any members? Oh, no, we're not down there yet. So now we are on Executive Director's Annual Performance Evaluation. Do you want to introduce this?
I'll introduce it just to let you all know that we do this every year, and we have a prescribed process where the Executive Committee decides what the evaluation mechanism will be. This year, the Executive Committee decided to do the evaluation itself with input from the board members. So all the board members were asked to provide some comments to the executive committee. That was passed along through Human Resources and Tina to the executive committee. And the executive committee met back in July, I believe, to go over that. Yep. And so this is just bringing those results to the full board. You have in your packet the results of that review. And I'll leave it there. I like to talk as little as possible on this item.
Imagine that, he doesn't want to talk about himself.
There is a summary of accomplishments for the last year that's in the packet if anybody wants to go look at that.
Right. So do we have any questions or concerns or thoughts or comments from the members of the board? Anyone? You are all so quiet and shy today. Gee whiz. Tina, are there any members from the public where did she go?
She's back there.
Oh, I couldn't see you behind Chris.
I'm still here.
Anybody?
For the duration.
Good.
No, Madam Chair, there are no citizens wishing to be heard on this item.
Okay.
This is an action item.
And so what are the wishes of the board, since it is an action item? Please, somebody speak up.
I think we should accept the evaluation written by the executive board. Thank you, Whit. Good job.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? It has been moved and seconded that we accept the recommendations of the executive committee for WIT. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Well, the motion passes. Now, do we need to discuss?
I just need to say thanks to the staff because they allow me to serve you, and sometimes they're not always recognized, but I try to do that, and you all do a good job of recognizing our staff, but I did want to just take this opportunity to thank everybody, from Tina, Maria, everybody over here on this side too.
All right, now what about an increase in your salary? Are we addressing that?
Well, as part of the recommendation, the executive committee recommended that the salary increase for me be the same as every member of the unified personnel system. So no deviation, and that's perfectly fine.
Excellent. So that's on the record as well. Okay, on to, and we've taken our vote, so thank you everyone for participating. Now we are on item 7D, election of a new vice chair. Whit?
I'll introduce it as well. As many of you may know, we no longer have Michael Smith from the city of Largo sitting to my right. He has tendered his resignation. The letter that he sent to the mayor is in the packet. The city of Largo has not yet, to my knowledge, appointed a replacement. We hope to have that replacement seated soon. Tina, you don't know any different, do you?
This week, they're making that decision.
This week, they'll make that decision. Okay, so that's good news. So we should have a new member there. In the meantime, our board operating procedures require that we appoint the replacement to the executive committee at the next meeting available. And I do want to mention that we have an executive committee that includes the chair, the vice chair, the treasurer, and the secretary. Their main responsibility is to do my evaluation or set the terms for my evaluation. We sometimes meet in December to think about upcoming topics for the year ahead. I haven't really figured out if we want to do that again, but normally the executive committee has pretty minimal responsibilities. The treasurer signs checks for the board and is another set of checks and balances on the money flow. The secretary is really just a member of the executive committee, doesn't have to take any minutes. We don't make that responsibility on them. And the vice chair just serves when the chair is absent, typically, unless there are other duties that the chair assigns to the vice chair, which could happen. I do want to share that I've approached our existing executive committee members, both David Albritton as treasurer and Mayor Julie Bajowski as secretary. They both expressed an interest and willingness to serve. Mayor Bajowski could not be here today because she has she's dealing with the death of a beloved family pet this afternoon, and so she didn't feel like she would be in good shape to be here. She, I think, was pretty interested in continuing to serve and would welcome this role. I don't know if Councilmember Albritton wants to say anything further about this, but in November, we will be asking the board to consider the full appointments for all the executive committee and other positions for the coming year. So this is really, you can think about it as it's a 2-month fill-in, but it'd be kind of awkward to put somebody in that role and then not move forward with that. So I'll leave it up to whoever wants to make a motion or has questions.
You know, it's pretty convenient for me to be signing checks because I live close, and this is Julie's last year, so I would recommend that that we approve her as the vice chair. I'll make a motion to that.
Thank you.
And I'll second the motion since she's not here to defend herself, so.
Okay, all in favor of Julie Bujowski being our vice president, please signify by saying aye. Aye. She'll love that.
Now, with that decision, we have another decision to make, which is to replace the secretary position. So we'd like to fill that position, and if anybody's interested in filling that role or anybody wants to make a nomination, maybe we ought to take that up.
And who is the secretary now?
Well, it's Julie, so she's
that's
not going to
right,
be
Julie,
in that
we
role.
moved her up.
Right.
All right, any volunteers from the group to be secretary? Commissioner Driscoll?
Thank you. I would be delighted to do it. I have done the same thing on other boards before, so I do have that experience. And, you know, being on this board for 2 years, I have a pretty good understanding of what's required. So I would be happy to do it if I am nominated. Thank you.
All right. Any further?
I'd like to
Anybody? Commissioner Mohammed.
I'd like to nominate Gina Driscoll for secretary.
Well, it's been motioned and seconded. All those in favor of Commissioner Driscoll being the secretary, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, good, congratulations.
Madam Chair, can I verify it was Richie Floyd on the second?
It was David Albritton.
Sorry, thank you.
Anything else? We don't have to vote on the chair?
That's November.
Okay, all right, just wanted to cover all the bases. Okay, and now we have the appointment of the new MPO-AC alternative representative.
I'll introduce this as well. Commissioner Smith was our alternate, one of our alternates to the Metropolitan Planning Organization Advisory Council, and I just need to maybe preface this a little bit by saying the MPOAC is probably the heaviest lift of all of our advisory committees because it requires travel to Orlando. I've enlisted Commissioner Buckman and Councilmember Floyd and others to fill in for Commissioner Eggers, who's had some conflicts this year. There is, you know, the MPOAC represents all 27 MPOs across the state of Florida, so it is a really good forum for sharing of ideas, sharing of information, hearing from the federal partners and the state partners, and understanding what's going on statewide. There is a pretty dynamic group involved at the MPOAC, and it's, I think it's good to get to know those folks. But I think a lot of us have felt that the MPOAC meetings themselves are a little dry, a little dysfunctional, and could be more productive uses of everybody's time. So there is a push within the MPOAC to sort of rethink what that role of that organization is, how it will function, and how it will serve the respective members of Florida's 27 MPOs. And I'm looking forward to that. I think that's overdue. I think every board kind of needs to have that refresh and relook. That initiative is being led by the Jacksonville area MPO, and they bring some interesting ideas to the table. So if you do sign up for this and you do go, you might see a little bit different feel and look and set of activities associated with the MPOAC in the coming months and years. With that said, if anybody's interested, I've talked to a few of you. If anybody would like to express interest in that, again, it's a day trip to Orlando, and you know usually those meetings are from 2 to 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
Commissioner Eggers?
Would Councilmember Buckman be interested in being an alternate since you?
Yes, Commissioner Eggers, went to the last meeting.
Yeah.
Very interesting, very enjoyable.
Did I make that motion?
Except the drive on I-4.
I make that motion.
Is there a second for Councilor Buckman? Okay, it's been moved and seconded. All those in favor of Councilor Buckman being the alternate representative on the MPOAC, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. And now the adoption of the strategic business plan. This is an action item. And so Dana is coming forward. Good afternoon, Dana.
Afternoon. Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Dana Santos. I'm the Communications and Outreach Specialist for Forward Pinellas.
Would you please speak up into the mic?
Sorry.
Thank you.
My first time up here, so.
Don't be nervous.
Yeah, thank you. So I'm Dana Santos, Communications and Outreach Specialist for Forward Pinellas. I'll be going over our strategic business plan. So our strategic business plan is kind of a high-level document. It's a guiding framework for our work over the next 5-year period. It includes key strategic focus areas with goals and objectives to reach those goals. We use this document to help us prepare the annual budget, set our work and project priorities, and it helps serve as a basis for our staff performance evaluations, as we can use this document as a look back to ensure we're reaching our goals. So there's 5 key strategic focus areas in this document. I labeled them the 5 Ps: planning and analytics, priorities for investment, partnerships and regional collaboration, public engagement, and professional growth and development. I'll be going over each one in turn with our goals for each. I will not go into all the objectives, just in interest of brevity. For planning analytics, our first strategic focus area, at Forward Pinellas, we want to focus on using hard data in addition to qualitative insights to help inform our decision-making and project priorities, just to ensure our priorities and projects are grounded in reality. So our goal within this is to conduct a performance-based, outcome-driven planning process. Measurable objectives of how we intend to reach this goal, for example, would be making more commitment to before and after studies for like our complete streets projects and safety and transit projects. We'll also continue to monitor trends in economic activity, housing, supply, and other redevelopment activities across the county. Our second strategic focus area is priorities for investment. So this hinges on connecting our local networks to help build public wealth, and we always want to include an attention to equity for all groups in the county. Our goals within this focus area is to incorporate housing policies across our plans and projects, again with the emphasis on all income levels to ensure that equity. An example of how we intend to do this is we continue to solicit local government support for the countywide housing compact. Our our second goal within the strategic focus area is to provide travel choices and economic opportunities for all. So an example of how we intend to do this is ensuring our projects in the TIP, or the Transportation Improvement Program, include safe accommodations for pedestrians and bicyclists, making sure we're attending to all groups instead of just people who drive cars on the regular. Our third strategic focus area is partnerships and regional collaboration. So this focuses on forging effective partnerships with the idea that we will be more effective if we all work together as a county, different cities in the county, as well as the region. So our goals within this is to provide local assistance in land use and transportation plan decisions, as we continue to always do. We can devote up to about 25% of our staff capacity to assist in this way. Another goal is to cultivate and sustain our regional partnerships. As we are doing currently, we'll continue to convene regional planning agencies to discuss the prospective MPO merger as an example of how we will cultivate those partnerships. The MPO merger is very relevant coming up, so we'll continue that. Our fourth strategic focus area is public engagement. So we will strengthen our connection with the public, making sure they understand our projects, and we are continually gathering their input so that these projects are meaningful to them. We will be increasing public awareness and understanding of priority projects along the whole continuum of that project. So not only from the creation, but as well as through implementation, and like I said, that before and after study focus, following up once these projects are completed. Just to ensure we don't have people come out of the woodwork being confused or trying to derail a project at the last second. And then we would like to reach diverse communities, always trying to do that, such as reaching Spanish-speaking population, more youth groups. And we will also implement ongoing monitoring of effectiveness of our outreach, so just stepping back and seeing if our efforts are reaching the kind of product that we want, so such as like our website analytics, social media analytics, attendance to our outreach events, those sort of things. And our last but not least focus area is professional growth and development. So we want to making sure we're encouraging professional growth of all of our staff. So supporting staff to develop additional expertise, for a more diversified skill set. We have in our bylaws that we can allow a certain amount of time and money for staff to pursue interests that are relevant to their roles. We'll provide ongoing feedback on staff performance on a bi-yearly basis, continuing to cultivate that flexible work environment as we are doing currently, and promoting team building. It's always good for us, and as well as getting our team out into the community more regularly. Again, I'm Dana Santos. I'll take any questions about the strategic business plan.
Any questions from the board? Comments? Anything? Tina, do you have anybody waiting to speak?
No, Madam Chair, there are no citizens wishing to speak on this item.
All right. Do we have a motion and a second then for the recommendations here?
Move approval.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. The motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dana.
Thank you, Dana. Item 7G, TMA Leadership Group Meeting Preview. Whit?
Okay, I will be fairly brief here. I don't have a presentation, but I do want to highlight a few items here for you. On September 22nd, we are preparing for a meeting of the TMA Leadership Group. That is the 3 representatives from each of the 3 MPOs in Pasco, Hillsborough, and Pinellas County. It is a subcommittee of the Suncoast Transportation Planning Alliance that covers the broader region from Citrus County all the way down to Sarasota County and east to Polk County. The TMA Leadership Group meeting will focus on the Memorandum of Understanding for the merger of the 3 MPOs. And that Memorandum of Understanding I drafted back in February, March timeframe. You may recall that we, during the legislative session, had a set of bills that were passed and signed into law by the governor that required that by the end of this year, we produce a report to the governor and legislature outlining the feasibility of forming a regional MPO in the Tampa Bay area. We were the only ones singled out statewide. I think that's fairly telling. We also are required to address the costs and benefits of a regional MPO. So our plan is to present that MOU for recommended approval at the September 22nd meeting. We will then bring back that MOU for adoption by this board, as well as the other MPOs in the Tampa-St. Pete urban area. Along with that MOU, assuming it's adopted, we will then include some cost information and a summary of benefits and a letter transmitting this to the, they weren't real specific on exactly what they wanted, so we think that that constitutes this. We were also thinking that maybe the appendix to that letter and report might include the 2018 report that was done, funded by the Department of Transportation and led by TBARDA, that was a very extensive look at case studies and examples of regional MPOs and how that might apply to the Tampa Bay area. So we have done a really deep dive into this just 5 or 6 years ago, and staff does not feel that that sort of level of report is needed at this time. Frankly, the feasibility of it is the MOU itself. What the MOU does is it commits us to forming the regional MPO. That's very clear in the very first statement. However, it is conditioned upon working out a number of other areas of how that MPO would function and operate and agree. So the MOU itself does not form the regional MPO. It does not commit anybody to formally adopting the regional MPO. It just commits us to going down that path and working out all those other things, and assuming those other things can get worked out, like the constitution of the board, its local funding needs, how it manages regional versus local types of assistance at the community level, then I think we're on a path. I have talked to our legislative delegation, and my understanding is those behind the language that went into that bill that became law plan no further action at this time. But I think that's also somewhat conditioned on us making some concerted steps and them seeing progress in this happening. I do have a sense that the other MPOs are inclined to support this MOU at this time, but we'll know more after the September 22nd meeting for sure. One other thing I wanted to mention to you is that in your packet, you have the results of a public survey that we did jointly this summer through the MetroQuest analytics tool. We had about 1,700 responses, and there were some really interesting responses in that survey. We didn't really want to get down into the weeds of MPO operations and functions because I think most people don't care and aren't interested in that. But what kind of decisions would you like your MPO to make? How would you like those decisions to be made? There is some useful input on there. In addition, we had a survey that went to all the board members, and we had pretty good response to that survey. And those responses are in there, along with some really interesting comments that you see from the different MPO members. And while the survey responses are useful, they are not directing or dictating any recommendations at this time. It's just background for discussion. The last component of this is we do need to look at costs. So I wanted to highlight for you that there are some efforts underway by staff to look at cost of forming a regional MPO, and there will be some costs associated with it. Primarily because we are looking at elevating the work of the MPOs to a more significant regional discussion level. So one of the things that I wanted to highlight about that is we're presenting some scenarios that are very broad and very premature to the TMA leadership group, and that'll come back and we'll have more discussion about costs later. I don't think we need to get into too much detail this year on that, but essentially, scenario A or option A is to have a hosted MPO at the regional level, kind of like we do now in each of our respective counties, with about the same level of staff, maybe a few fewer staff, because I think all told we have about 34 full-time equivalent staff. So this option A is about 30 staff because there would be some redundancies that might not be needed. It would be a hosted agency by one of the local governments in the region. We are hosted by the Pinellas Planning Council now, and we have a millage rate that supports the funding that eventually we get reimbursed by the federal government. This would be sort of the low-cost model. The second option would be option B, where you have an independent regional agency, in other words, not hosted by a local government, but an independent organization, but it would contract some of those support services like IT, human resources, payroll, and those sorts of things, legal, with maybe a local government so that those services are cheaper. And you might even rent out space or have free space provided by local government. It's interesting that we pay pretty significant level of rent to Pinellas County. Hillsborough County MPO is provided free rent space. They don't pay any rent. So there's different models in each of the counties. Option C is the go big or go home alternative, which is a higher investment MPO, a fully independent regional MPO with its own office space, a larger staff that steps into more of a leadership role, maybe looking at supporting regional economic development, which is another void at the regional level, and more public engagement and really leaning into that regional leadership role. In all of these scenarios, we envision at a staff level having staff embedded in each county. So you would continue to have potentially a staff services agreement with Ford Pinellas, with the Pinellas Planning Council. So you might have a fewer number, but you would still have MPO staff here in Pinellas County and Pasco County and Hillsborough County to take on some of those lower, smaller scale safety, bicycle, pedestrian, public outreach activities that you have to do locally and you can't do from, across the bay. And this would probably also handle internal or privately contracted responsibilities for human resources, IT, payroll, and things like that. MetroPlan Orlando, which is a 3-county MPO in Orlando, follows that high investment scenario. And the way that they do that is they need local revenue, and they have agreed, and it's been in place for 30 years, a per capita charge for member local governments of 50 cents per capita. So as an example, the city of St. Petersburg at $286,000 would pay approximately $140,000 annually to support the MPO. If you are a smaller local government like Pinellas Park, your contribution would be accordingly less. In MetroPlan's case, that is for members who are on the governing board. The town of Oakland is not on the governing board, so their 2,000 people don't pay $1,000. So it's really if you're out on the governing board. We can adopt a different model, but that is a model that I believe is in place in Palm Beach County, Broward County, and Jacksonville, as well as Orlando. It's interesting to me that all of the large MPOs in the state of Florida, and while we are considered a medium because we're under 1 million population, we're right up there. I consider us a large MPO in the state of Florida. All of them have gone from a hosted model where they were hosted by Lee County or by the East Central Florida Regional Planning Council or whatever, to an independent board within a number of years. And my feeling is, and this is just Whit's feeling, that if we're going through this tumult and effort to create a regional MPO, we ought to look at that independent regional MPO organization and not just go to a hosted organization because it's a lower cost and then transition because we think in 3 to 5 years that might be needed. But that's a conversation we can have, and that'll be down the line. So I wanted to give you all a preview for that discussion to see what questions and guidance you might have. I am looking forward to a full, robust dialogue. We're starting the meeting at 9 a.m. on the 22nd. We expect it will go pretty close to lunchtime. So last meeting we had an hour because we had a meeting following us, and it felt a little truncated. So I hope that won't be the case this time. And that's really all I wanted to cover. I don't want to get into too much detail. You do see in the MOU in the packet some edits that have been made. They've come from all 3 counties, but primarily from Hillsborough County. None of those edits, in my view, are deal breakers. They are good clarifications. One of the edits concerns the position that we would work to retain the staff here if they're not needed at the regional MPO, that they would be retained by their respective county government agencies or the host organization, such as the PPC. We've clarified that would be the staff in that county would be, we would try to find jobs for those staff in the respective county, not like we would try to bring Hillsborough County or Pasco County staff over here. The other change is to eliminate the paragraph on maintaining the base level of planning allocation funds to each MPO. There is a policy in place that the MPOAC adopted to continue that base allocation if any MPO merges. So in our case, we all get a base of $350,000 in planning allocation. We get more than that based on population and other formula factors, but that's the base that everybody gets. The policy would ensure that we get all 3 MPOs base allocation if we merge. And that would be in effect for at least 10 years through the end of till the 2030 census happens. So the reason that's stricken is that's no longer an issue. It was an issue maybe at one time, but we don't think that's an issue right now. So I'll stop there and see if anybody has any questions, or if the board, by consensus or by individual direction, would like to make sure there's things we keep in mind as we go into that discussion. Y'all are quiet today. This is not an action item, by the way.
Commissioner Floyd.
Thank you. Thank you for the update, Whit. I'm keenly interested, like I think the rest of us are, in this topic. I just wanted to add my voice in support of like a fully independent and regional MPO. I think if we're going to go through the process of doing all of this, I think we'll be scrutinized, quite frankly, as to how we operate in the end. And I think it's important for us to go all in and make sure that we're positioning our region to be able to compete with the other fully independent regional MPOs that I really think we're trying to compete with whenever we get to this point. So I just wanted to encourage people to have that in the back of their mind and add my voice in support of trying to make sure we do this the right way the first time. Thank you.
All right. And so we are at the end of our agenda. Oh, you're still talking? Okay, let's go forward with the director's report. I'm
Further
so
discussion or
sorry.
guidance, then I'll move on.
Okay.
Under Director's Report, I'm going to skip the spotlight update. I just want to highlight very briefly that if you've driven down US 19 in the Gandy area southbound, there's a brand-new shiny dual left turn lane that's open southbound that, thanks to the Department of Transportation, that got completed pretty quickly. And I think it's working really well. We used to have people backing up into the main line if they were trying to turn left to get towards I-275. I don't think that's happening right now, so it seems to be working well. Yeah, so congratulations, FDOT. That was a direction that, they came to us because we had to remove part of a bike lane to make that happen. And, we don't normally, it's kind of not on brand to remove bike lanes to make left turn lanes, but we felt that that was the greater project there. Under the Legislative Committee discussion, I just want to bring to the board's attention that we feel that since we're in transition to a larger body of an MPO, that this year, because we've had a little difficulty getting a quorum for some of our legislative committee meetings, that we just bring legislative items to the full board in this coming session and sunset that committee for the time being. And then when we do get around to seating the newly apportioned board, which could be January or it could be July, we don't know what time frame that's going to happen, that we consider the committee structure at that time and maybe reconstitute it as a legislative and policy committee then. In the meantime, I think we can handle brief updates for the full board. If everybody's in agreement and there's no opposition, that would be staff's recommendation.
Yeah, and I would add that since they're starting early this year and we're not meeting in December, that we really have 2 months, and so I think moving a little more dynamically would be, in the short run, would make sense. In the long run, I agree as well. So,
yeah,
thank you.
Absolutely. And Linda Fisher has done a great job helping us prepare for those committee meetings, and she'll continue to be point person for our legislative response items. And now I'm done talking.
I'm sorry, that was an action item.
Talking. What?
Oh, that was an action item?
It was
So
an
we-
action item to
Okay.
either sunset the committee or make committee appointments.
Thanks for the reminder.
And there's no citizens that would like to speak on that topic.
All right, what is the will of the board as it relates to the legislative committee? Dave?
Move to sunset the board.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to sunset the legislative committee. All those in favor, please signify by saying aye. Aye. Okay, and on that note,
Madam Chair?
yes?
There was one other item that I thought Whit wanted to talk about, this graphic that's on the screen.
Thanks, Tina. I'm almost done talking. I just wanted to highlight for you all, we have kicked off the public engagement effort for Advantage Pinellas 2050, our long-range plan. What you see on the screen is the landing page for that interactive website. And please write this down. Please make a note of it, advantagepinellas2050.org. I've spoke to the Clearwater Neighborhoods Coalition earlier this week and the St. Pete Chamber earlier this week, and I talked about it, and it felt like it just kind of flew over everybody's head. So I wanted to actually have the website address there, advantagepinellas2050.org, and the landing page. It is a very interactive website, and I know we get citizens and the public who come to our meetings, and they talk about things they don't want, they talk about things they do want, they talk about things we wish we did. Here's your opportunity. You can actually mark up a map, you can comment on things, you can take pictures, upload photos. I love I've done this exercise before where like there's a green dot for things you love and a red dot for things you hate and don't ever want to see happen again. We welcome that creativity, like stop and go. So if anybody in the public wants to weigh in on the future of transportation, the future of development, then this is really the forum for it to happen. And this will complement our in-person meetings. It'll complement our activities such as we did at the Gecko Fest on September 2nd in Gulfport. And if you have suggestions as board members or members of the public of where you want us to be, where you want us to go, then we're happy to do it. So you can reach out to me or you can reach out to any of our staff. or you can send a request to info@fordpinellas.org. Thank you.
I would just add that you try to get all 25 municipalities, the 24, and count to get it on their website as well.
We're going to do that, to get this linked to everybody's website, absolutely.
Commissioner Driscoll?
Is there an expiration on this? Like how long this is going to be going, or is it going to be?
October of 2024, we have to adopt the plan. So this will be our website at least through that period, and then we haven't really talked internally about how we want to make this continue, but I think all the documents should be uploaded here, the plan should be here, and we'll think about how that looks.
Yeah, but just as far as the participation, I don't know. I didn't know if you had a date by which you were going to close that out.
Well, we're in one phase of the public outreach effort right now, so there's a lot of activities that people can do to win prizes and awards. You can see you can get a $100 gift certificate here. So that part of it on needs and issues will happen really through this fall. And then once we get into January, we'll start looking at priorities and how much revenue we're getting. And then we'll ask people to do different activities, such as if you had $100 to spend on transportation, how would you spend it? And that's been really revealing the last time around. And then we come back based on that guidance and say, well, here's how we can spend it based on the constraints we have on some of those dollars. So if you want to put, $100 into transit, well, we're limited by how much operating dollars we have for transit. So we probably can't do that. If you want to spend it all on bicycle pedestrian, we probably can't do that either because, right of way. But we appreciate the feedback. It's really helpful. So yeah, good point.
Thanks.
Okay, everybody, anything else for the good of the order? Commissioner Burke?
Thank you, Madam Chair. If I could make a quick statement to the board, representing the inland communities, but also the city of Seminole. And I'd like to make a statement to Councilmember Driscoll, who's on the PSTA board and our representative. One of the bus routes on the chopping block currently in the PSTA budget is Route 28, which is the only route that serves St. Pete College and the only route that serves the Seminole City Center. So we would urge in your discussions later on when you talk about that, if you could consider not chopping Route 28 so those kids can get to school. That will be a great thing. It runs down Bryant area all the way across the county. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone else for the good of the order? Anyone? Okay, everybody, then we are adjourned. Good meeting. Thank you.